Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to the channel, and I am here for sort of another discussion video. Now, I've been making quite a few discussion videos as of late, but there's just been a lot that's been on my mind that I feel like I needed to address, of course. But yeah, today I want to talk about the band Red. Now, you guys know that I've been a fan of Red for several years now, ever since early 2012 or something like that. That's when I got into the band. The song that got me into the band was Already Over, and ever since then I got hooked. I mean, I was really a big fan of their music, and yeah, but I want to talk about the new album that's coming out this year called Declaration. Now, whenever the album got announced, and the album title and all this and that was announced, and when we got the first few singles, I was fairly excited. I didn't, jump out of my seat jumping for joy over this thing, but I was pretty excited when I heard about it. And of course, whenever the singles released. But I gotta be real with you guys, as someone who's been a Red fan for almost a decade, I do have some concerns with this next Red album. I honestly do. Now, I know, some people might not agree. I know, some people may leave some dislikes because of the fact that I have even remote concerns with this new Red album, Declaration. But there's really no denying the things that I want to address in this video. So yeah, first of all, I'd like to say that they have released 4 singles already before the album dropped. That is not a good sign. It's really not. And there will most likely even be another single in March or whatever. Because I think, whenever bands announce new albums, they like to release a new single each month before the albums drop. So I do have good reason to believe that there will probably be another single in March. That is not a good thing. It's not a good thing. Now, maybe some of you guys don't think anything of it. Maybe some of you guys think, well, who cares? Who cares if we get 5 singles? To me, that's a big problem. Because if they do release another single for this album, it's going to fall into that same trap as Breaking Benjamin's album Ember. They released like 5 songs before that album's release, and unfortunately, it really, really had an effect on the replay value. Like, the replay value just wasn't the strongest with Ember. And I have a feeling that that's what's going to happen with this new Red album. I'm not sure why that is. I'm not sure why, it's one of those cases where, they release all these songs and then, like, for some reason the album doesn't hold up. I don't know. It's just something that happens, though. I think Sever should have just been the end-all be-all for the singles before the album dropped. That's my opinion. I think once a band releases 3 singles, that should be it. That should be it before the album's release. Maybe an exception for 4, depending on how many songs are going to be on the new album, but there's only going to be 10 actual songs on this new Red album. That's not good. And that's another thing that I do want to get into, is the fact that there's only 10 tracks on this album. Their last album, Gone, also only had 10 tracks. That's if you don't count the digital deluxe edition. That has that one bonus song that I actually think is really good, by the way. But this is not a good sign for things to come. It's really not. I don't know what it is about these modern rock bands as of recent that are so afraid to go above 10 songs. The recent albums by Breaking Benjamin and the recent albums by Red now, these bands are for some reason so afraid to go above 10 tracks. I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's just because these bands have gotten lazy. I mean, that's what I feel like. I mean, even with Breaking Benjamin's last studio album, Ember, there was like a B-side on that album, a song that, featured a guest vocalist that was really underwhelming, and just there's several things about that album that I just felt were very underwhelming and just seemed kind of lazy to me. And the same kind of goes for this new Red album, just by the singles. And the reason I say that about this new Red album is because of that Evening Hate EP that we got last November. Now, that EP was the most underwhelming thing that I ever had to experience release, because they basically released the entire thing basically before the EP dropped. There was only one song that didn't release as a single before that EP dropped, and it was only an acoustic version of a song. I mean, are you serious? Like, that was nothing to be excited about. So yeah, we had that underwhelming Evening Hate EP, and honestly, I don't know why they had to release that EP. As a matter of fact, I don't know why Red had to release any single last year. I really don't. If the album wasn't going to be ready anytime soon last year, by the time the Evening Hate came out as a single, why release singles if the album wasn't, going to be released anytime soon? As someone who, creates series work and, film stuff myself, I know how to, not necessarily market, but sort of like know when to release stuff and when not to release stuff, like trailers and stuff like that. So if the new album wasn't going to be released anytime soon, I don't know why they had to release singles last year. But I think the thing is, Red just wanted to say they released something in 2019. I think that's really all it is. Because, I don't know, for some reason, this band is so in a rush to release music all the time. They really are. And this is actually the first time in a while where it's not a 2-year life cycle in between albums. The last time this happened was between End of Silence and Innocence and Instinct. Now, I know that Gone, came out, about a year and a half after Of Beauty and Rage. So that was kind of a longer gap too, but this is the longest gap we've had in a while for a new Red album. But either way, I mean, that has nothing to do with anything. I don't think that has anything to do on the quality and stuff like that. But yeah, the fact that, we already got 4 singles, it's not a good sign. It's really not. I have a feeling that this new Red album it's once, it comes out and things like that, it's going to be good for like maybe a month and a half or something like that, and then you're just going to move on to something else. Now, maybe if you're someone who loves this scene, you love your modern rock, this album will probably do very well for you. But for me, yeah, maybe it's because, my tastes are a little bit different now. I don't really listen to this style of hard rock like I used to. I still like it, but it's just not, a huge priority for me like it used to be. Maybe that's part of it. But even in saying that, I think, it's just going to come off as very underwhelming, similar to Ember by Breaking Benjamin. Now, as for the singles themselves for Declaration, this new Red album, I want to talk about the singles themselves. Now, as for the singles, they're good songs technically, all 4 of them. All 4 of them are good technically. But I just have this feeling that, like, if I wanted to listen to this, I'd go listen to Of Beauty and Rage. You know what I'm saying? Like, these songs are good for what they are. They're not terrible tracks. They're still technically good, but it's just, there's just something about them that seems a little off. Something about them that seems underwhelming. I think part of the reason is it's just standard Red. I think that's the problem with these tracks. Now, I'm happy to see that, Red is semi going back to their roots after the album Gone, because Gone, I think, was still their weakest album. With these new singles, it's nice to see, Red going back to their old format, the similar sound that they usually get in their older days, of course. But the thing about that is, we've already had the return to form. Hello, Of Beauty and Rage. I mean, wasn't that the return to form after Release the Panic? Everyone was happy when Of Beauty and Rage came out, and for good reason. Of Beauty and Rage definitely deserved the hype that it got. For many reasons. For one, it was a solid return to form album for Red after Release the Panic. And not to mention, there was more than 10 tracks on the album. As a matter of fact, it was a pretty long Red album. It was the longest album that Red has ever came out with. people had good reason to be hyped up for that album. I don't see the hype with Red anymore, with Declaration. It seems like everything after Of Beauty and Rage, this band has just, I don't know, they just really dropped off. I'm not sure what the deal is, but I think this album is without exception. Now, I'm sure this will be a good album, don't get me wrong, and I think it will definitely be better than Gone, for sure. But, I mean, the thing is with these singles, man, like, if I wanted to listen to these type of Red songs, I'd go listen to Of Beauty and Rage. I'd go listen to Innocence and Instinct, End of Silence. You know what I'm saying? I had someone recently say that, I'm not a true Red fan for not thinking that these songs are some of their best material. Now, first of all, I'd like to say that someone who I wouldn't say is a true Red fan is someone who, doesn't like End of Silence or Innocence and Instinct or something. That to me would be like a false Red fan and only listens to everything Gone onward. That to me would be a fake fan, you would say. But yeah, that's really all I gotta say about that. And I just can't help but think that these songs are just unoriginal, and these songs could easily pass as B-sides to Of Beauty and Rage or something. I'm sorry, but that's just the way I see it. I don't think these songs are anything mind-blowing. Now, like I said, they're good songs, but there's just nothing really special about them. I think what Red needs to do is, I want to say innovate, but not innovate to where it's completely just not good. Like, Gone was a complete bad example of, innovating in a way. Now, Release the Panic was a better example, but not by much. I think a good example of this would be War and Peace, the latest albums by Demon Hunter. Especially the Peace album. That album was very innovative for the band, for Demon Hunter. I would love to see a Red song like Recuse Myself. I would, I think they should take some pages out of their book. You know what I'm saying? That would really, I think, work really well for them. And especially Michael Barnes's, soft vocal harmonies. I mean, I would love to see them create like their own Peace album, you could say. I think that would be really unique. So, yeah, I think that would be really unique for the band. And another thing, too, that I gotta mention, now this isn't a huge deal, but it's something that I do have to mention. And it's that they shouldn't have made From the Ashes a single. And the reason I say this is because it's supposedly the closing track. Now, personally, in my opinion, I don't think closing tracks are ever a good idea for a closing track, or, a single, you know what I'm saying? Because it basically spoils the finale, at least in my opinion. Now, I know in some circumstances there are some bands that do release their closing tracks as singles. But I don't know, it just wasn't a good idea. I just don't think it was. So, I don't know, guys. I really don't. I'm not really expecting this Red album to hold out really well. I'm already calling it. It's not going to be the best album of the year. I'm sorry, die-hard Red fans. It's not. Especially everything that's supposedly coming out, like Judas Priest and Iron Maiden's new albums and Megadeth. I mean, there's just so much. I mean, now, I still will listen to the album, the new Red album, and I might even, pick up a copy for myself if I like it enough. I am expecting it to be better than Gone, though. And like I said, these new songs, they're good, but they're not great. That's really all I can say about them. These songs are just, I don't know. There's something about them that's just underwhelming. Now Sever is probably my favorite of the singles. I really like that song, actually. But even in saying that, I haven't even returned to that song much. But yeah. I think I'm just going through that thing where, this style of rock just doesn't do it for me like it used to. But like I said, I'll still listen to the album, and I'll still, maybe even pick up the album. Depending on how I feel about it, of course. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Do you guys kind of agree that the newest Red songs are kind of underwhelming? Do you think that this album will just kind of just be a failure? I don't know if it's just, that the band has kind of gone independent, and that's how the band kind of, I don't know, is releasing music the way they are. either way, it's not good. I mean, I just don't see how this is going to be good. You know, the thing is with these singles, like I said, they're good, but I'd very much rather go listen to End of Silence. I'd very much rather go listen to Innocence and Instinct, Of Beauty and Rage, you name it. Until We Have Faces, even, I think is better than these songs. So yeah, that's really all I gotta say. So let me know what you guys think. Thanks for watching, and have a nice day.